What's going on, guys? Handsome Homebuyer here. On today's podcast, we have Barry Paley. Yeah, kid. Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer podcast. My name is Charles, a.k.a. the Handsome Homebuyer, a.k.a. Captain Permit, a.k.a.
El Judío Maravilloso.
Yo, I like it, man. Good.
Trying.
You know who else is maravilloso all day, every day? Come on, you know. Captain Permit, 516-513-8838. If you need plans, you need permits, you need anything permit related, just like today's guest from Manhattan to Montauk, or not so much to Montauk, but more like Elmont to Montauk. Tip to tip, we got you. Legalizations, interior alterations, new constructions, light commercial. We are here and we got the best team in the business. Mike, our COO, hit him up anytime with any questions. 516-513-8838. And obviously, I'm the Handsome Homebuyer. If you have a house that smells like cat pee, is dated from the 1960s, 6 inches of mold on the wall, human waste floating past the basement steps, commercial, land, I don't care. If it's on Long Island or in the 5 boroughs, I'm quick, I'm easy, I'm a good time. I want to buy it. Another thing I'm doing, this week we just launched our community text platform. Take this number down. I'm going to say it 2 times. 516-871-3511. That's 516-871-3511. I don't care where you are in the world. If you are interested in real estate investing and you have questions, that is my direct access. It is exclusive, it is direct, and I will respond to it every single day, and it is from me. So if you have permit questions, if you have real estate questions, if you have development questions, I'm here for you, 516-871-3511. All right, so we have a legend in the house. He doesn't know he's a legend, but I know he's a legend. His reputation precedes him. It's only 16 years in the business. I actually thought you've been in the business for like 30 years, which is even more impressive.
Thank you.
Right? Absolutely crushing Long Island and the 5 boroughs from Manhattan to Montauk. That's his slogan. You've said that a bunch of times, right?
Absolutely.
It sounds good.
It sounds good. It is good.
His team this year is on pace to do 200 transactions. Yes, 200 transactions. And next year we're looking to do how many, sir?
400.
400. He is a humanitarian. He is a local guy. He was top broker of Oyster Bay and Pulse magazine. He is Keller Williams Point North, Barry Paley. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
No, it's great to meet you. It's great
Good to meet you as well.
And this is your first video experience.
Absolutely.
So I'm glad that I could be the one to pop the cherry.
Okay, go for it.
So
let's do it.
Again, before we were speaking, and the first thing that was most impressive to me, A, when meeting you, and B, when I follow you on social media is, and again, you'll forgive me for saying this, at your age, you have the energy of like a 22-year-old.
It's interesting.
Right? Like you, where a lot of my contemporaries, I was saying at 35 to 45 years old, are happy with what they're doing. They're looking to maintain or slow down. You are like, we're doing 200 deals this year. We're doing 400 deals next year. Where does that energy come from?
So it's a good question because, when my wife first met me, she said, and that was only 4 years ago, she said to me, you think you're 29, your kids think you're 29.
Yes.
And you carry on like you're 29, you're 64 years old. What's going on here? What is this? But listen, I think if you're passionate about what you do, if you love what you do, with Keller Williams, there was a very big change for me.
Okay.
I've always been a business person. I was in my own business from the time I was 26 years old. I've never worked for anybody since 1976.
Wow.
So I don't know if you guys were alive back then.
I was not alive then,
There you
no.
go. So at the end of the day, you have to have passion for what you do in order to excel. I mean, I think those two things are synonymous. And with Keller, there was a completely different change in mindset. Mm-hmm. I came to the following epiphanies when I was with a major brokerage that was broker-centric.
Okay.
And those epiphanies were, I'm not a trust fund. My parents are gone. I've been through divorce and a bad stock market. And at the end of the day, the last dollar I make is the last dollar I do in real estate is the last dollar I make. And it was like, there's got to be a better platform, a better program. And I kind of came to the point where I said, I'm going to look for a better platform. And I, of course, found Keller Williams. So for me, the game only got enhanced, and I went from being what we call a dependent realtor to an independent realtor to interdependent. And that's
what do you mean by
major
that?
shift. So, in a broker-centric model,
What do you mean by broker centric?
So if you belong to the standard brokerage,
Okay.
Keller Williams was built by agents for agents. It's a completely different model than anything that's broker centric, where you have a broker. So the broker basically is the lead dog, and you could have a team or be an individual broker, but you're dependent on that broker. Their marketing is theirs. Everything follows through with the way that they have it envisioned.
Okay.
So the tail is wagging the dog. Keller Williams thinks you to think like a CEO and own and be in your own real estate business.
Which is what every agent really is. They are in
They
their
are
own
independent
business.
contractors, but there's
Yes.
a difference between being an independent contractor
Yes.
and thinking like an independent contractor.
100%.
So, in the broker-centric model, they want you to fall in line, get on a hamster wheel, continue to do deals for them so that they make money.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with the broker-centric model, but there's a better platform.
Yeah.
So I found the better platform. And so, again, if you're passionate and you want to be in your own business, I play the long game no matter where I am, no matter how old I am
Yeah.
or where I am in that point, I play the long game. And when you play the long game, it becomes a game, and it's not a game like with trappings. It's a game you enjoy playing, like a video game
Exactly.
or anything else.
Yes.
So without passion, you can't excel. And if you're going to excel, I think people are holographic. You either are the kind of guy that won't let somebody out on the highway when they're trying to get out, or you're going to back off and let somebody go out, or you're going to go move faster. But at the end of the day, you are who you are. And if you are who you are, you got to play your game.
Yeah.
And when you play your game is when you excel.
No, it's interesting.
So I think that's my passion comes from wanting to excel.
It's interesting, a couple of things that you said there. When you came in, one of the first things I noticed about you is you seem genuinely very happy. Like you have like a glow about you, you're smiling, you are a very happy person.
Yeah.
That was like my first impression. Another thing that you said that I think is so important for people to understand, and I think they don't, is it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. There is no such thing as instant success. The Paley team did not sell 200 houses a year overnight.
Right.
It's a process, and it's a fun process because you like to play the game.
Exactly. And if you play the game, you play to excel, then you're always learning. And again, the company has really made a difference for me. Again, I had a great business background. I was always in my own business, always thought like a businessman. But this was an area where I was able to open up even more and thrive. And, we're the number one company in the world in agent count and in volume. We're the number one in technology, number one in training, number one in education, number one happiest place to work, number one happiest place to work for women, or best place to work for women. So there's so many accolades that the environment that we create is a perfect atmosphere. It's an ecosystem where people can thrive. And so you can make that move from being a dependent agent to an independent agent. And then when you realize that we have 162,000 agents, then you become part of this whole ecosystem. And we forage and interconnect with 162,000 agents. So then you become interdependent, where you're working inside of an ecosystem that continues to help you flourish.
No, I mean, collaboration on every level is key. What we're doing here, what you're doing with Keller Williams. Interesting. So you're 64 years old. So
I'm 70. I have 70 years on this planet.
Oh, you're 70.
I started way back at 4 years ago is when I got remarried.
Okay.
And I met my wife. And
wow.
About 3 years ago, I'm only with Keller. January will be 3 years.
So, but you've been in real estate for 16 years.
I've been in real estate since 2005. Yeah, 16 years.
So at 54 years old, when most people are thinking, I can't wait to retire,
right,
you are starting a completely different career.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm curious to know, because I think people would really like to know kind of, what your upbringing was, where you came from, your first business, and then what ultimately brought you into real estate.
Sure. I mean, my journey was, I don't think anything, super unusual. I grew up here on the island. I was a Wantagh boy, so I'm a South Shore boy.
Me too, that, right?
You're from Wantagh?
Wantagh High School, class of 97.
Wantagh High School, class of 68.
Yeah.
So, kidding. Yeah. I lived over on Wantagh, right off Wantagh Avenue on Jerusalem.
Yeah, I went to Mandalay Elementary. My parents still live on Riverside Drive.
Yeah, that was it.
Yep.
We used to take our cars out when we were 13 years old and go over to Kwang Ming's and pick up a poo-poo platter for a card game, right?
And it's still there.
still the best wonton soup on Long Island. We'll plug them, right?
It was an amazing childhood. That's why I still to this day don't want to grow up, because I was like, why would I ever want to grow up?
Yeah.
it was the best.
Yeah, Wanto, we were the gateway to Jones Beach, the surfer's hut. I don't even, my time is a little bit different than your time. But anyway, I grew up on the island, and my parents moved to the North Shore when I was about 18.
Okay.
I left home when I was 17. I went to prep school up in Cheshire, Connecticut, right outside of Yale, and then went directly to GW. So I never went back to the Wanto home, and I never went to the Great Neck home that they did, and I wound up basically living in the city for a while. I was in the garment center, as I mentioned to you.
Yeah, what were you doing there?
So I started out, believe it or not, in the button business, which, I don't want to quote it, but, if the garment center was the butt end of the business world, the button business was the butt end of the garment center. But I left that, and I actually opened up I went into women's large size clothing.
Okay.
It was a void and a niche in the market that wasn't being done. I'm a niche marketer by generic.
That's
by
smart,
genetic.
though.
And so I created that business. We went in 76. We became the number one large size clothing company out there, called Tomorrow's Dream, Silver Threads. We had several divisions. And I wound up buying and selling real estate, like you buy and sell real estate. Not so much flipping, or not to the extent that you're doing it, but I basically wound up buying condos, buying lofts, etc., and moving. And I had a home out on the ocean in West Hampton,
nice.
Which is, that's why I'm so familiar with the East End and why we do business out there as well. And then ultimately, the garment center had its, maladies, and we lost a lot of business to overseas, and so I kind of looked at the real estate market just to flip, like you're doing, right? And at the time, I looked at that market was really about 2005.
Did you see the writing on the wall in the garment industry, or were you there kind of until the end?
So as in any business person, you try to adjust to what's going on. So we went into imports, we went into 807 to try to break out of the domestic market that was falling apart. And that basically prolonged our life in it.
Yeah.
But it got to the point where you put in a good quarter, you made a good quarter, you had a bad quarter.
Yeah.
It was very difficult. And again, unless you were a brand like a Ralph Lauren, it was a difficult business. If you're Ralph Lauren, you could send a dog with a pipe in his mouth for the auditor,
Yeah.
But it became a difficult business, and I started to look at another vehicle. And so then real estate sort of came on the horizon, because I had always made money buying and selling real estate, right?
Yeah.
So I then looked at it, and I had this horrible epiphany, because I looked at it and I said, real estate agents are kind of like used car salesmen. They have this really negative connotation. And I'm going like, oh no, I don't think I could do that. And I was just doing it in transition until I was going to find another business, right? And then I got one of my first leads. Of course, family and friends is your great first lead in real estate. And I got a lead to go out, and my sister had an apartment that she wanted to rent out in Center Island. I went out there, and so I kind of automatically became the Center Island expert.
I love it up there. That's like the best kept secret up there.
Center Island is sweet.
Awesome.
Tough commute, but great. So anyway, the next thing I know, there was an up, in the office for Center Island. I said, well, give it to Barry. He's had experience on Center Island. So I went out there and sent out on a listing lead, and I came back with $2.5 million worth of listings of waterfront properties in Center Island, and put them on the market and sold them, and had a great, first couple of months. And I said, well, this is easy, Little did I know that was going to be it for about a period of 6 months.
Oh, that's right.
Because, you can hit, but whatever. So anyway, I was kind of trying it out. And then one day I had this epiphany, which was, oh my God, you're in real estate. And well, if that's the case, stop thinking of it as a sideline.
Because you were still in the garment business?
I was looking for other businesses. I was importing batteries from Malaysia and doing other businesses, because my basic MO is to be a business person.
Yes.
So I looked at my model, which was a business person and a marketer, and I looked at the real estate business, and I realized at that time, and today it's a little different, but even then it was, today it's 93% of the business is done by 7% of us.
Yeah.
So I looked at that and I said, well, if you're going to do this, then do it the way you do everything.
Yeah.
And be the best at it. And so I made that switch from not really loving what I thought I was going to be doing to saying, okay, now do it. And so my MO and my branding from day one has been a business person doing the business of real estate. I wanted to distance ourselves from the other people that were doing business.
Yeah.
Politically, not politically correct. We just wanted to say, look, we approach things differently. We approach it as a business.
Yeah.
It's in most cases people's most valuable asset.
Yes.
So you want to be in a situation where you're approaching it like a business because you're handling an asset for somebody. And if you hire me to handle an asset, I want to make sure that I'm professional and more of a technician than I am. And it's always been about service versus sales. It's not about the money, it's about the game, it's about winning the game like we talked about. So doing the best that you can do, being passionate about it, and coming from contribution and taking people through a process.
Yeah.
I kid around when I went in my first marriage, we went on our honeymoon to Israel. And so I hired a guide. And I kind of think if you're going to go into a foreign land or a foreign thing, you hire a guide.
Yeah.
And you don't have to experiment when you have the right guide. And finding the right guide is the key, because the right guide makes and our other branding is not all agents are the same. So all agents aren't the same. So, if you want a good experience, hire the best guide, hire the best person that you can for the job, best mechanic for the job, and let them take care of it for you as a business and take you through that trip. And I think that's kind of what we do that's a little different than everybody else.
I was going to ask you, everybody knows, Keller Williams, the education that you receive at Keller Williams and the training is top notch. That's like one of the pillars.
Amazing, yeah.
How is what you guys are doing now different from the experience that you had when you first got into it? How is the training and education, or did you have any? You just kind of wung it because you just had this innate kind of business experience.
So I think it's a combination. Any event that you go to, any training experience you go to, if you walk out with one aha moment, it was worth that investment, right? Yeah. If you and I walk out tomorrow and we see something, we go, why didn't I think of that for, my houses, or why didn't I think of that? So, Gary Keller, who's our visionary, says if you're comfortable wherever you are, if you're comfortable, leave the room.
Huh. Yeah.
Right?
And with that.
So at the end of the day, our knowledge is like totally ongoing. I have never been in an industry, and I have never been in an environment like I am now, where I continue to learn hourly. I'm not just talking even daily. I mean, just ahas and epiphanies. And when you're in an ecosystem of 162,000 like-minded, interdependent agents that are foraging with each other, it's nonstop communication, because the guy that's in Tulsa, Oklahoma, doesn't care to not share his listing presentation with me. Yeah. If he's got something that's great, I'm not affecting his income. And our culture, our culture is all about God, family, and business, right? Mm-hmm. So our culture is one where everybody goes together. And it's a question of where in another, everybody's heard the term doggy dog in respect to real estate, right? But at the end of the day, in our culture, it's not like that. I mean, there's competition. There's healthy competition. I'm not, but
that's a good thing.
I'm a fierce competitor, and I will, that'll never stop either. But at the end of the day, how you compete is really what's important.
Yeah.
And our market centers, which are all independent franchises, our market centers are based upon having everybody do well in the market center, because the more we do and the better we do, the better it is for everybody. I mean,
100%.
We have profit sharing in our company, which is, I've never heard of it before in the garment center, or in the real estate business. And at the end of the day, we take basically half of the profits that our market center makes and give it back to the agents.
Nice.
And it passes to them and their heirs after 7 years for perpetuity.
Wow.
There's just no other program that's like that. So in our market center, it's all about, as goes one, all goes together. So we want to see everybody profitable.
You've been in the game for 16 years, and you've seen different markets.
Sure.
What was it like? You got in basically when it was rocketing up,
right, to
the craziest market. I don't know. I'd like you to obviously comment if what we're experiencing right now, what's the difference between now and then you saw it, as bad as it could possibly be, and now the rise again.
Yeah, so I really started to come in at the apex of the tanking of the market, because in 2005 I had not really, I was just coming into the market. So 2006 and 2007 were rocky, and obviously we went into major decline. But Keller Williams is also the kind of company, I didn't have that experience then, that teaches you how to adjust and thrive in a shifting market. So, we're experts at that. Keller Williams was born in a shift 35 years ago. So, we've seen these patterns before, and we know how to do business with that. And if you go back to that formula that 93% of the business is done by 7% of the agents, those 7%, or even if you go to the 80-20 model that everybody is familiar with, they know how to exist and shift through that market. So I've seen good markets. I've seen bad markets. The pandemic market is, a separate entity unto its own. I don't think anybody's seen a market like this market. So I think that's kind of a different model than anything else. But we're geared to be able to do business and adjust to that market and whatever shifts in the market. As a matter of fact, there are two Bibles in our Keller Williams platform. One is the $1 Million Real Estate Agent, and the other is Shift. Both of those were written by Gary and his team, and they're amazing guides to this business. They basically are the scribes of our business. So we know how to shift in a market that's like this.
See, the interesting thing about the way you conduct business now is I know that you have listings in New York City and you're doing stuff all the way out in the Hamptons. So you're really, and you do stuff Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, etc. So you're looking at the market as a whole.
Correct.
What do you see going on out there as far as people moving from the boroughs? Is product trading? Is it not? Are prices dropping? Are people holding still?
Sure. I call it the State of the Union. I go every time I do an intake with a buyer or I do an intake with a seller, the first thing we start out with is, hey, this is what's going on in the market. And we have incredibly low interest rates, as everybody knows.
Yes.
They're going to stay low for quite some time for the foreseeable future. Certainly into 2021 is our protection. We have a very low supply of inventory, so that creates a high demand. Prices are up. But generally what's happening is, and there's two types of migration. I think it's important to understand the two migrations.
Okay.
One is, for us on Long Island, yes, we're seeing a migration east. So everybody's leaving the city and heading east. They're also heading south. And they're also heading north, and they're heading west. But so there's a migration out of Manhattan. Manhattan has been affected. By the same token, we're incredibly profitable in our Manhattan office. My partner, Rich Amato, is one of the principal and owns Manhattan. So we're seeing that. The market there is great for us. The market itself, in my opinion, has been off drastically by price point. But I also feel like everything else, there's a tipping point. I think we're at the bottom of that curve and starting to come out. I see the investors coming out. Warren Buffett will tell you.
Into Manhattan?
Into Manhattan as well. So Warren Buffett will tell you, that you sell on euphoria and you buy on fear, right? So ultimately, I think that Manhattan will come back. It may take a little longer than other times, but I think we're seeing the bottom end of that. But of course, the migration out east has been, killing the market. I mean, I had a listing on a rental property that was $9,000, and people called me up because it had a pool, and they said to me, "We don't want to move in. We just want to use the pool and the bathrooms." That was in the height of COVID. They were willing to spend $9,000 to have their own country club.
Wow.
Per month. There. So, I mean, we've seen things in COVID that, I just don't think, God forbid, that we don't need to see it again. Let business be good like this, but at the end of the day, not for that reason. But ultimately, so that's where the market is. We've got low inventory, high demand, a migration. But the migration, by the way, I change it up because I want my people to understand the migration. It's not just a migration east. It's a migration away from density. So that's what it's all about. People are looking for more open space, more privacy, et cetera. And that's why the migration is happening in all directions. But we study migration. I'm a student of that. I study migration. I mean, I have partners that are in Chapel Hill, that are in Asheville, Carolina. I mean, when you deal with our company, which is an ecosystem, I know the top agents. Like my cousin sees me killing it on Facebook and says, "I'm getting divorced. I'm a single mom. I'm selling my house in Alexandria, Virginia. I'm buying a new home with my new fiance. I wish you could sell my house for me." And I go, "I can." And she goes, "How? I mean, you're in New York. I'm in Alexandria, Virginia." He says, really simple. I'm going to find you the Barry Paley in Alexandria, Virginia, because if 93% of the business is done by 7%, I'm going to find you the top 1%, and I can do that in our ecosystem.
Makes
so
sense.
I can call them, they can handle that transaction. We work together as a unit and make that happen, and I can do that almost anywhere in the world. So we're not only local, we're global, and we can put it together anywhere.
What do you think about New York over the next 20 years? I have not a theory, but it's something that concerns me a little bit. So the first migration, as you just is, because I'm buying houses from the people that I'm buying houses from. To your point, are leaving the state.
Right.
They're people that have been here, they've raised families, and they're like, we're going to upstate New York, we're going to PA, we're going to North Carolina, we're going to Florida.
Right.
A lot of people coming out from the boroughs out here.
Right.
The thing that I'm a little worried about as far as New York, depending on how the politics goes and everything over the next 20 years, is people want to be in New York because of the ability to make money, the action, all that stuff, right? If people start working more from home, do people wake up one day and say, if they're not in New York City, do they wake up one day and say, what am I doing here? And New York just becomes a cold, expensive, dirty place. And then there's another migration where the people that moved from the city out to the burbs are like, I don't even need to be here. And that's something that I don't know if it's going to happen, but it rolls around in my mind.
Sure. Look, everybody's saying that now also, but then you've got, Lord and Taylor and other major real estate in Manhattan being sold to the .com companies, et cetera. So, again, New York is unique.
Yeah.
I think it's taken a hit. I think it'll be a little bit different. It will come back the way it's always come back. And the ability to work from home is something that is, very popular now. But illnesses, diseases, all this kind of stuff has short memories.
Yes.
And eventually everything returns. So I think New York will come back. It'll be different. I think we'll all be different from here on in. I think we'll all be different. But the great thing about New Yorkers and New York and people in general is that we adjust, we thrive, and we survive.
100%.
And that's what shift teaches you to do, adjust, and thrive, survive until you can thrive. So I think that market will shift, but I think it will come back.
I have kind of like a two-part question. The first is, when you got into real estate and you were on your own, what were the kinds of things you were doing and advice that you would give to agents on how you grew your business? And then kind of the second tier of that is, once you realize, like, I can't be everywhere all the time,
right,
and you decided, what, I'm going to start a team, talk to us about, motivating, cultivating, and educating agents, because there's a lot of agents that I meet where, they're somewhere and they're not super happy and not doing a lot of deals. And when they find the right team, right? Like with someone like yourself, they explode.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see that.
Yeah. So it was a two-part question.
First part was, how you came up and what you did for marketing and to really build that business.
So again, I think, there are people that can be stopped. There are people that will stop themselves, and there are people that can't be stopped. So it's really a part of what you're about. But I think the first tip that really, one of my aha moments was, don't be a secret agent.
What do you mean by that?
So if you're an agent, then get out there and tell people. That's you're building your sphere of influence.
Yes.
So one of the things I always tell, I answered a gal on Facebook, said, I just got my license. What's the first tip you could give me? And the first tip that I said to her is, don't be a secret agent.
Yeah.
I'm glad you posted, because you're out there saying, I'm here. So nothing's going to happen if you sit there and wait for it. I used to tell a story about a guy that sat on top of a rock quarry, and you're looking out on miles of rocks. And I used to say to my nephew, I said, under one of those rocks is the secret of what you're supposed to do for your life. So you can either sit here and contemplate what you think it might be, or you go down in that rock quarry and start turning over the rocks. So I think it's important that you just approach it with not being a secret agent. Get out there, let everybody know what you're doing. It's all about friends, family, sphere of influence. That's how real estate gets done. And then you got to be able to walk the walk if you can talk the talk. So then it's a question of honing your skills and expertise and knowledge and gaining your experience so that you can offer somebody a value proposition. It's all about the value proposition. And the value proposition is what you bring to the game. And again, not being a secret agent, my business is mostly done on relationship, referral, networking. We're hired guns. We work by referral. And it's a question of working that sphere of influence. So I think if you take that as the microcosm of what our business success model is, we call the database your data bank. And that's what's important. So you gotta get out there and work that. So I think that was the main thing. Again, I've got some years on the planet. I know a lot of people, so that helps along the way. But everybody has a sphere of influence. They need to learn how to tap into it. That's something at Keller that we teach. And in respect to what you're talking about with the team, it's really salient because I just came off of a seminar today that, again, I never stop exposing myself to learning and education. I've got so many great mentors within this company. And the thing that is about a team is people only talk about splits. Oh, I get a 70% split, I get an 80%. I don't want to talk about splits. I want to talk about how much money you made.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me about what your split is. Talk to me what your 1099 reads. So in a team concept, people have to find that they can find their success within your model. And they either get it or they don't. And not everybody is for a team. They think they are because they think it's an easy way out. It's not an easy way out. You need the same skill sets because if you're not going to perform within a team, you're not going to perform on the outside. But at the end of the day, what we do is try to build a world that's big enough to fit everybody else's world inside of it. And when that happens, we develop a culture, and the culture is the team, and the team is the dominant thing. It's not about Barry, and it's not about, somebody else on my team. It's about the team itself and the team thriving. And our job is to bring in the leads and generate them so that everybody can build their worlds as big as they want inside the world that we exist in.
So how do you go about doing that? Meaning, how do you, actively motivate, actively educate, and actively, promote the agents so that they can be the best they can?
So look, with my team, we meet 3 times a week.
Wow.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have a meeting. I meet with my admin once every day. I have a full-time marketing director who I'm blessed with, happens to be my wife. So I report to a higher authority on that end of it. But she's incredibly talented and skilled and, obviously passionate about what she does. So we have a full-time marketing director. I have a full-time admin. We have a hiring process at Keller Williams that's been studied. It's a model for hiring people. We call it 30-60-90, career visioning. And, we're very careful about a hire because a hire is an important thing.
Yes.
A bad hire can cost you more than, anything. So we have a full-time transactional admin. I have another admin that works along with us as far as sales and ISA, in-house sales associates. Mm-hmm. So we have an infrastructure that we build ahead of the volume so that we can handle the volume when it comes in so we don't compromise our service. And then we have buyer's agents, showing agents, listing agents, all within the structure of the team. So we meet 3 times a week. I meet with each of them on a one-on-one once a week to discuss where they're going, what their goals are, what's happening. We have systems called the 135 and the 411 so that we can establish goals and try to hold people credible to those goals. And so we're constantly meeting with them, and the education in our market center is pretty much 24/7. There's webinars, et cetera. It's unlimited what you have. So nobody's held back. It's a question of how much you can take on.
Do you consider this is something that I'm lacking in that I try to get better at every day. Would you consider yourself a very organized person? Because you sound like your operation sounds surgical. The
nature of Barry is that I would like to be.
Yes.
I'm more so than most.
Okay.
And I'm nowhere near where I want to be.
Where you want to be. Okay.
And I think that's also part of what I talked about, as far as the culture goes. I sat on a seminar today for 2 hours listening to what is supposed to happen, and my admin was directly across from me, and we're working while we're doing the seminar, and she's looking at me and I'm looking and going, we do that, we do that, we do that. And I look at her and I go, write that down. We don't do that, So it's a game, and you learn when you play. So we love what we do. We're having fun with it, and we're constantly growing.
My final question for you is: you're shockingly 70 years old, loving life, have a ton of energy.
Yeah.
What is the next 70 years of Barry Paley look like?
So it's going to sound like I'm drank the Kool-Aid, but I did. So Keller Williams, again, the platform allows me to do anything I want. We have 7 levels that we try to achieve within a team level. And at the 7th level, you pull out and the team's supposed to run. We call it a pressure test. I should be able to go away to Europe for a month and the business
it's like you've never left.
Should run. Because we're big on systems, models, algorithms, platforms, etc. So at the end of the day, I have opportunity for profit sharing, like I told you. So I'm here and I'm creating passive income. I have a very strong downline, so I get passive income, and I will continue to get passive income for perpetuity. So the profit share program there is absolutely sensational. I can make money on my own production. I can make money on my team. I could stop working the day-to-day grind, and I could refer and recruit anywhere in the world. If somebody tells me, my cousin calls me up and says Alexandria, if a buddy of mine calls me up and says, I have somebody that's looking for, a place in Tarrytown or a place in Asheville, North Carolina, I can still make money. I don't have to be at the active grind of it. So for me, I'll build us to, we're probably at somewhere around the 5th level. I made a promise to my wife that I needed 3 years to be vested with Keller and 3 years to get the team where I wanted to get. January will be 3 years. We're pretty much on target, holding myself accountable to some of my goals. And so I'll keep my fingers in a little bit, but I have at least developed an exit strategy. When I pull that cord, I don't know, because like you said, I'm a pretty passionate, vibrant 70-year-old, so we'll still keep our fingers in a little, as they say.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the possibility of an exit strategy, there's a plan.
Yeah.
There's a way to do it, and there's multiple streams of income that can come in because in Keller's world, that exists.
So it's nice to know that, Keller helps give you the infrastructure to put yourself or any other agent in that position. The question that I guess I'm curious for me, and this is on a very personal note, at being 40 years old and thinking, does I love this. You and I are we're very in sync. I live this, and people are like, oh, when are you gonna relax and have fun? I'm like, what do you mean? This is fun.
Right. Exactly.
So I guess my question for you personally, for my understanding, is, does the game ever end?
So I don't think the knowledge game ever ends, and I don't think the passion ever ends. I think you need to adjust. One of the things that is, again, part of the Keller culture is to, as I said, it's God, family, and business, is to allocate and time block so that you have a life worth living and you build lives worth living through your business. Some people take their profit share and put it to their vacation. I think there's parts of it. I mean, there's a story that very much touched me about a woman who built up her profit share, and she was getting like $12,000 a month in passive income.
Wow.
And unfortunately passed away. And she left that legacy that her kids get a check every month for $12,000.
Wow.
And she's gone. What a great legacy to be able to leave. Something like that is very, affects me in a sense that I realize what we have, in the company as a culture. So does it ever end? It ends when you want it to end. It ends when you feel or you refine it and you make it fit. People always make fun of me because I use euphemisms a lot, and we call them Barryisms. But there's a great one that I like, which is if I can't make the lens fit the orifice, I'll make the orifice fit the lens. So it's just a question of adjusting and pulling those tweaks to make it work for you for where you are at that time. What the future holds, is yet to be seen. Right now, I look at it and I tell everybody we're at the blackjack table. The dealer is cold. We're not going out for a restaurant because we have a reservation at 7. When the dealer gets hot, we'll go eat dinner. But right now, the table is in our play, and we're at play. We got a phenomenal team. I've got some great people that work with me. I appreciate every one of them. And we're all committed to building something that's big and works for us, not for the sake of building something that's big, but for the sake of the game.
Yeah.
So it's for the love of the game. You either get into the game or you don't in the game.
I mean, I couldn't say it any better myself. You're a gentleman. I really appreciate you taking the time out to speak with me.
I appreciate you having me make the time for us to meet and talk.
Absolutely. If people are, interested in joining the team, if they're interested in Keller, how do they reach out?
Just
How do
reach
they
out
find
to
you?
me. My number is 516-503-4242. 516-503-4242. You can reach me at barrypaley.com. So it's pretty easy. Or just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to set them up. And if they're not right for a team, that doesn't mean that they're not right for Keller Williams. I think it's important that they understand the structure we have. So Keller Williams is an organization that's right for people at all stages in the real estate game, beginning people, middle people, team, not team. It's just a different platform, a different environment where people can thrive. And I'm more than happy to share that with them and get them on the inroads, because we've seen the future. We know it works. We know what a broker-centric model looks like. We know what an agent-centric model looks like. And there's no difference between the two. You gotta actually taste it. You gotta come see it. But an agent-centric model is the only way to go.
Awesome. And obviously, I'm the handsome home buyer. You have a house that smells like cap heat, land, commercial property, anything, 516-777-SOLD. And for all your permit needs, don't forget the captain at 516-513-8838. That's a wrap.